They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative, regurgitating the same old, same old, same old, every single day, without exception. Please watch the first series, the first 2 episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Good evening, everyone. Myself off then. Do you know what? We had a technical problem. And I must be a genius because I got us back on. Unless Jason in the background, because he's one of his lads' birthdays, his eldest lad. And he said, I won't be there tonight unless he came on in the back. And there's me thinking I'm a genius. Getting us all. I even phoned Andy up. I said, Andy, I don't know what's happened. But anyway, we're here. And it's really good to see you tonight. It really is. Not just saying that. Because I love this show. I really do. Because look at this, what Myra says here. Hiya, Myra. Hi, everyone. I'm Frank. Good to see you all. Isn't that lovely? She's a lovely lady, is Myra. Literature is a breath of inspiration. Those who are inspired by it grow. A quote from me. Now, isn't that lovely? That's her own quote. Toscana. Buonasera, Franco and Anthony. Buonasera a tutti. A tutti. Anyway, Toscana. You're not going to believe it, but it was the flu jab. That was it. Never got it, like. She knows what I'm talking about, by the way. Couldn't agree more, she says to Myra, Toscana. That's lovely. Tony, the mince pie man himself. Hello, Mr. Carlyle. Hope all is well, sir. Yes, Tony. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for the cups of tea. It's nearly pie time, isn't it? Not pie time, but mince pie time. Tony, evening, Myra. That's lovely. That. Stepping. Good evening, Frank. Johan. Our good friend, Johan. The brother from another mother, as we say. Good evening, Frank and legends. Hope everyone is well. Missed your game, but caught the highlights. Did you put us on 2 minutes ago? One of the lads said last night, Johan, that kid's funny. He said he's not going to watch full matches again. He's just going to put us on in the last 5 minutes. Crazy, Johan. Crazy times. George said, good evening, Frank. May I request some discussion about the 20th century authors? I love Hemingway. Yeah, we'll say that at some point. But when you look at 20th century authors, we have spoken about them. H.G. Wells. You know, from the 19th into the 20th, if you know what I mean. brilliant authors from the 20th, studied them all. And poets especially. But it has to be the war poets. I was thinking about one of the poet laureates who I've had a drink with from your neck of the woods, George, Seamus Heaney. He came to my university where I was working, and he came in and gave this talk, so it's my little tutorial. I was going through every tutorial, giving a chat, then reading one of his poems. And he said to me, "Do you drink beer?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "But do you fancy one?" I went, "Yeah, all right." This was later on. And I was calling him Mr. Heaney. And he went, "Thank you. Seamus." Seamus. I said, "Oh, okay. Seamus." Lovely man. Lovely man. And as you know, he wrote about the Troubles growing up, which was shocking. The Troubles for the kids. Let's just go down a little. It sure is, Francis. When I said it's nearly missed by that time. Lovely. I'm going to bring my great friends in. I'm going to bring them just after this one. Seamus was great, Frank. As was John. Yes. Another, yes. And no one, if you mention John Hewitt, they'd say, "Who's he?" And it's sad, like, but as far as Seamus goes, everybody knows it, or should do. I'm going to bring my great friend in here. My great friend. I phoned him up and I said, "Andy, you won't be able to get on." He went, "Why?" I said, "I don't know." I said, I got my cell phone. I said, "Can you see me?" He said, "No." He said, "All I can see is the background." I went, "Oh, a book, I said, But anyway, we had a great conversation, and I said, I'll have to cancel it. And then all of a sudden, I thought, I pressed the button, and all of a sudden, I was on. And I said, he was on the phone to me. I said, "I'm a genius. I've got everyone on." And it was bloody Jason in the background. That's mad, isn't it? Okay, yeah, there he is. I'll bring him on. Are you happy?
Hello, genius. Oh, who's that? I've been on the back doorstep there for hours.
That was mad, that though, wasn't it? When I phoned you, all I said, "Well, we'll have to cancel it until tomorrow." And you said, "Yeah, okay." And, that was the only thing we could do until I think Jason popped in and was going, "Why hasn't the introduction played?" You know what I mean? He must have had it on in the background. He's got back to his party now, most probably.
He is thinking now, I can't leave these two alone to put a kettle on. Oh, good evening, one and all.
Yeah, and Tony says, "Evening, Mr. Brown. Welcome to the show."
Good evening, Tony, and you too, and thank you very much.
And my old mate, you'd love this fella if you'd ever met him, Stephen Mulholland. He's a lovely fella. And very well up on things, Yeah. And he says, super game last night, but needs to stop throwing away leads. I love the intensity from the start. Yes, totally agree. And George said, "Good evening to the peerless Mr. Anthony Brown."
Good evening, George. Thank you for your kindness.
And Johan. Good evening, international artist Mr. Brown.
Joe, good evening, Johan. Mr. Kindness, with you and George, and I'm on the up. So it bears waiting outside on the back doorstep for 4 hours there for Frank. But
And you know what? He's give you 3 scotch.
yeah, so
Doesn't give me anything, though, does he? He just says, hello, Frank. You're all right. You're okay. The lovely ambidextrous. Hi, everyone. Hi, Ambi.
ambidextrous.
A lovely little girl. Tony is dying to know if that pottery is finally filled up. I don't think so, to you, Anthony.
No, it's one of them things, Stephen. It's like the closer it gets to being full, we'll have a swig and then it's empty again.
So anyway, what's been going on this week about our wonderful literature and, you know, the history of literature? I said to you, didn't I? If you could, try and watch Things to Come. Did you get to manage to watch it?
I did. I watched it twice.
Oh, really?
And I will strongly urge all of our lovely gang to, if you find it, watch it, because we've talked and you've talked and we've all talked between us about how history repeats itself and how sometimes the genius of literature is that the visionary people who write it can see what we're going to go into. And that film is exactly that. And it's mind-blowing to think that it was obviously written about 1935, but this film was made 1936.
No, I read somewhere that he was thinking about it, believe it or not, in 1926. But with the preceding war that
Yes.
just finished,
Yeah.
you know, 7 years before, he thought, I'll just put it on the back burner. So in 1931, he started to write it because, as I mentioned, he was looking what was going on in Europe and in particular Germany, especially when the Germans, you know, the Allies said to the Germans, I'm going to surprise you here, by the way, about something, about... Anyway, you know, the Allies said, listen, we don't want you to open up Krupp's, you know, the big armaments thing, the big steel thing. And so they went, yeah, all right. So anyway, they opened it up. Let's see what they do. They done nothing. So now you can question why some allowed it to open Krupp's. Some allowed, you know, Krupp's.
Yeah.
And you know, Churchill,
Yeah.
he had shares in Krupp's.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Churchill, Krupp's, shares.
And do you know, it's Churchill absolutely adored our hero, and he took sections of his work to use in the scripts. And some of the phrases coined, not just in that film, but the book. I really want to go out and find the book now. I've seen the film, but I want to go because it's kind of heavily edited to fit as we do with.
Yeah, any book, yeah.
You have to rewrite it, and so it runs smooth.
And the special effects are incredible, even at the beginning.
Yes.
The special effects. And also at the end, the special effects, when you see the machines,
Yes.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah. Was.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So, you've got to give HG one of the greatest of all visionaries, and that's what he was. He was a visionary.
I absolutely agree. Do you know what? He's a hero to two of us, but our great long-standing hero is Leonardo da Vinci,
Yeah.
who wasn't happy with his little box.
No,
People say, stay with what you know. Don't delve in. No, Leonardo was everywhere, and so was H.G. Wells. And I read a lot over the past few days since we spoke about his upbringing and his roots in. Obviously, he's a working class lad, lower working class. His dad was a cricketer,
yeah,
miss, so he earned a bit. He didn't earn a bit, and his mum was in domestic service. And the big house that his mum worked in said, "You are not allowed to have your family sleep over." But she connived a way of allowing the library to be
yeah.
opened to a young, wide-eyed,
HG, yeah.
yeah, and that just took him on a journey. Same
And
as
you
Lee.
could imagine he must have been looking at this library and going, that looks interesting. Taking it down, just having a quick browse of it, going, and putting
Yeah,
it back and looking at another one. So everything must have excited him. And
yeah,
I'm going back to ancient times as well, because
yeah,
libraries, like I've got books there, and it goes back to it's actually with me, it goes back to the Roman period, right
yes,
through, to the Middle Ages, to medieval times, right through then to, the English Civil War, for example.
yeah,
So, I have got a modern day literature as well, especially about bloody wars, unfortunately. And we can't get away from wars.
we
So
can't. This
you
is the
could,
good thing about that film you put me onto, and we're putting everyone else onto, because it's a continually, unless we get off that um, treadmill
yeah.
of war,
And that's what it is. It's a carousel, isn't it? It just goes round and round and round. You can put one case on a carousel, and
yes,
then the case is a bit naughty, so you get rid of it. It goes away and it disappears, and you go, well, that won't be back.
yeah,
Then all of a sudden, the case appears again, the naughty case, and it's there, and this is what it's like.
it's what it's like, and how how many people were not like now, like what's going on in the good old USA,
Oh,
where um, libraries and books are being burnt.
yeah,
The what? Don't give them the knowledge. And we're going back to Middle Ages. This is like what HG did with me with that one film. He left me with more questions than answers, which is great because we should always be curious. And there's one line early on in the film where there's a great war going on, and I'm not going to talk too much about the film. Obviously, I don't want to spoil any moments, but there's the line with two soldiers together. I said, "Why? And why again? Why are we going through this? We're killing them, they're killing us. What's it about and why?" And the other soldier said, "The gold at the end of it, the pot of gold, the money."
yep. And that's what it's all about, isn't it, Greed?
Yes,
It's very similar to, as well, The Time Machine, which was well written before the First World War, by the way. Well
yeah,
written. and he had the vision of that as well. There's
Yeah.
See, he must have got some inside information. I'm being honest here. He mightn't have got inside information. I don't know. I can't really say he did or not, but it seems that he likely did. That I knew from when I talk about the First World War, I give a preamble, and I go back to the 1871 Franco-Prussian War, and that
Yeah.
was the beginning of the First World War. It was imminent, going right through, right up to when in 1884 the German, the Prussia, Saxonia became one mighty Germany. They amalgamated with Germany, and they were one mighty nation.
Yeah.
And then you had 1891 the Schlieffen Plan, and the Schlieffen Plan was by this general, excuse me, who said, "Here's what we'll do. We'll get onto French soil. We'll entice the British over. We'll destroy both the French and the British and march eastwards to Russia, the Soviet Union." That was the Schlieffen Plan. Well, it was Russia then, before it became the Soviet Union. And that's what the plan was. And that was in 1891 or 2. So this is what you've got to look at as well.
Yeah.
There's always a seed sown, and a seed is sown. You've only got to look at it, keep mentioning. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry to go on about this, but you've only got to look at today and what's going on today, because the plan goes back to 1999.
Yeah.
And what General Clark said, look, we're going after 7 countries, 5 in the Middle East and 2 in Africa, to destabilise the Middle East and get the ongoing migrants going into Europe, to destabilise Europe. And this is exactly what's going on. That's why you've got marches today. That's why it has over 1 million people. It's just nuts. Well, anyway, to get away from that, George said that. Go on.
That too hinges in WG's of this film. You put me on to Things to Come, or the shape of Things to Come. He was talking about that then. He was talking the dishonesty of nations and the beauty of having all of us connected, living our lives but separately, which is still a dream that we all aspire to.
Yeah. True.
Power of the pen, Frank.
It's the powers that be
that
make everything happen. And we don't want it to happen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It's the likes of the working classes that have to pay for it.
Yes, all the time.
And you know what? To make arms and things like that, the working classes are working, and it's their taxpayers, that's their tax money that's making these arms. Yeah. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. Well, to get away from that for a moment, George Sett says, "Anthony, please may I ask, who is the gentleman behind you with the moustache?"
That is our very own WG, which I started yesterday tea time.
Did you?
I was on such a journey. Tell you what, I was thinking, my God, what an absolute remarkable gentleman that led to so many modern day, should I call them modern day authors, but everyone is like follows in his trail, and science fiction, and he was a keen historian, as you know. So it again, like Da Vinci, to me, it opened up so much. because he's not concentrated on one little thing. He was kind of bad-mouthed in more modern day society because he started to back off at a point from big statements, which I think is um, total rubbish. In that he worked right through till almost the day he died. And George, thank you for noticing him, but in a few days it looked more like him. Yeah,
Well, that's good, isn't it? You know, he actually observed it, which is good.
yeah, absolutely.
Darrell says, Francolini and Antolini, good evening, Squires.
Quiet. No, we don't like squires. We'll be muck shifters.
Yes.
Yes,
Music be the food of love, he says. Play on.
play on lad is right. William.
And he says, George, the picture behind, aren't they? There's Frank Carlyle, regen, mate. And as Johan says, when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die.
Yes. Yeah,
All the time.
yeah.
All the time.
Seeing it now.
Yeah, with experience now.
Yeah, yeah. And
Excuse me.
whether or not H.G. Wells would have been surprised by to modern um, warfare, or he'd probably just say, "Here we go again, same old, same old."
Do you know? Do you know if he would have been alive today? Leonardo da Vinci being alive today with the helicopter, with the submarine. Just imagine those two alive today. You know, looking at the 21st century
Wow,
and what's going on,
well, when
and
we
what's going on.
talk often about influence, and you just wonder if WG was influenced by Leonardo's findings and drawings and notes, and of course the helicopter,
Yeah,
which would have been absolutely, totally dismissed at the time as nonsense.
yeah.
What's it about? Well, it's only powerful when we look back with the kindness of history, and we see where the messages were and how they were hidden, and how some weren't hidden but you just ignored.
Listen to this cheeky get here. Frank's on the loopy juice.
Oh,
And Stephen. How about the original Jules Verne? We always speak of Jules as a visionary, don't we, Andy?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I'm only going back to what Johan says there a moment. Um, when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. And that goes back to Voltaire. Those who would make you believe in absurdities would make you commit atrocities. Think about that. The two, quotes are ingenious because it's true.
yeah, yeah.
And Steppen says he wrote about the world and pre-science fiction without ever travelling, just speaking to sailors. That happened to, I always remember, I have to say, it's some American. And he was saying, Shakespeare never wrote there, Shakespeare, he never even travelled outside the country. And yet, He knew captains and he knew merchants. And they used to tell him, he used to getting his information, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I can't believe these people. He must have just thought that he sat in a little room on his own and just stayed there and made up stories. And Daryl says in bed watching with COVID. That's mad, that, isn't it?
Wow.
I got well seen, Daryl. Can't be having that.
All the best.
And Johan, if Da Vinci saw modern attack drones, he'd probably say, "You maniacs, what have you done?" Do you know what? That's a quote that's a quote that comes from Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, when Charlton Heston looked at the Statue of Liberty sunk in the sand. And he says, what have you done?
What have you done?
What have you done?
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. And people don't realise, even today, that we're near enough. We're on the precipice of that.
Yeah.
We're that close.
It feels like it, Frank. It absolutely feels like it. And when you put me onto that film, oh my word. Yeah. That's how.
And and Stefan says to Johan, many inventions by Da Vinci, especially in his time in Milan, were aimed for war. Well, yeah, of course. This is what I was talking about helicopters and about Sikorsky made the very, he was a Soviet, wasn't he? A fellow named Sikorsky, he made the very first helicopter. And it wasn't to go up and look over and be nice. It's like the Wright brothers, when the Wright brothers made the first plane, to go up and fly.
Yeah.
They seen it and they went, this could be a phenomenal thing. And what did they do in the First World War? They carried little bombs with them and was dropping the bombs. So bombing raids. Even London got bombed by them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's shocking, that. That really is shocking.
Yeah.
I think there's a book going around, And George says Leonardo's brain was so fast he seemed to move on so many projects without fully completing them. The word genius could have been made for him. He was a genius, though. He was, George.
He was.
But I know what you mean about moving on from different. As Anthony says in his introduction of him, he never just stuck to one project. He moved on.
He got it as far as he wanted it to go, to see if XYZ would give him something. And even in paintings, he was accused of never finishes anything. He got as far as he wanted. He was testing out techniques that had never been used before. He got it, sorted it, and then moved on. Something else.
Yep.
Totally agree, George.
So I'm done with this COVID now. Each time it gets worse. Each time it gets worse.
Yeah, it shifts and develops into something else.
And faster tortoise. Right, everyone? And he's in bed feeling awful. He's in bed. So I mentioned that, didn't I? There's a book going around.
Yeah, that's the one.
And there's a lovely Toscana say, blimey, I hope you all get well soon.
Yeah. Us too.
And Leonardo was a great observer of natural phenomena and if Roman And of Roman achievement. Yeah, that must be of Roman achievements, not it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's definitely a great point. But it's like the three of us, spoke about last week, the week before, the power to intensify people's emotions through literature is the first hand observing and writing something in connection to reality. Orwell did it, and so many in history, and you know, Leonardo will always be my greatest. I never come between a million zillion
Well, you've
millimeter.
only got to, yeah, you mentioned the man. You mentioned the man there, Orwell.
Yeah,
And when you look what he did,
just by observing and writing.
by observation, yeah.
H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, Shakespeare,
All of it.
and
Dickens.
it's the reality that they bring into their work that makes it all the more kind of wow. Connect with them.
See, you can go back centuries. Go back centuries. And as Shakespeare said, idiots govern the blind.
Yeah,
Idiots govern the blind. And that's going back to Shakespearean times.
yeah,
And you get it now because I forget who said this. I don't know whether it was, it could have been Tolstoy. It could have been, I'm not quite so sure now. Maybe someone will tell me. Those who fail to learn sorry, got to get this right. Those who fail to learn the lessons of history are condemned, are condemned to repeat it. I've got that right. I think I have anyway.
yeah,
Those who fail to learn the lessons of history are condemned to repeat it.
yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And in modern terms, as well, we don't forget. It's not the people that forget. It's the leaders, the so-called great and good, because there's something in it for them.
And George says, gentlemen, is it true that ancient Roman statues were beautifully painted, including the robes and even the eyes? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, they were. There's one statue, I seen a statue when I visited Rome, and we went into this, like, you know what, it was it like a little art gallery. I don't know whether it was an art gallery or a museum, I'm not quite so sure now. And I seen a statue of a Roman centurion,
yeah,
and he's standing there, and it's magnificent. And I said to I forget who it was, I asked about this, I said, did you bring in, and was an artist brought in to paint that? He said, no, it's 2,000 years old.
yeah,
He painted them then.
yeah,
And I've seen a few busts of emperors,
yeah,
if you know what I mean,
yeah.
painted.
Beautiful, Colin. Yeah, there's a couple of sites I follow on social media. Don't follow so much now, and there's one who's I don't know if it's a lady or a gent who it's photographs of ancient Rome statues and artworks, and some of them go way, 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 way back to to a time where you wouldn't think so much beauty could be carved out of stone.
Yeah.
Non fakery just is, and they're still unearthing some of them, which is magnificent. You know,
I don't know, Santana, Frank, you mentioned it a few weeks ago. Did I mention loads of things? And I get carried away. I'm sorry, Johan. And Stefan says, George, yes. And so were the walls and the ceilings of medieval churches. If you go to York Minster, and you see murals, and they're high up. And I was looking around, but anyway, I got this little booklet. And I knew it had something to do with the Civil War. I knew that. Not the Civil War, Cromwellian. And what Cromwell said, I want you to go in and take out morals, take out effigies, take out everything. I don't want to see them. There should only be a cross in the church. And there's loads of churches around, if you can find them, where all the morals, and I think they're there to symbolise the Civil War.
Yeah.
And that was like York Minster, because they couldn't reach that high up to destroy them. Anyway, Stephen says, none of these grey stones, but bright colours. See the Sainte-Chapelle in Paris from the time of Louis XIII, I believe. And he's spot on. They had the same bodies, but you could swap the heads around. Yeah. But I seen this... I wonder if anyone's seen it. Am I the only one who's seen the bloody thing? As I said, I don't know whether it was only small little place. Why did I a small little place? It was only a small place, and I didn't know whether it was a gallery or a museum. But I went, yeah, this looked fantastic. Even the red plume on his helmet. Yeah. Fantastic. Statue. So you're right there, faster tortoise. And Stefan says, ancient Egyptians painted on wooden coffins the very realistic faces of the dead. That started with Ptolemy dynasty, with Greek arts and funeral Egyptian practices combined.
Yeah.
It's freezing. I had a thing the other night, freezing, and I thought it was you, and I had murder. I said, you better up. And someone said to me, that's not Freedom Journey. I said, oh, who is it then? But it was this other fellow, Freedom something. Horrible he was.
Wow.
Horrible. And George says, Cromwell did exactly what brilliant, we're doing in the Middle East when they destroyed very ancient temples. I should have gone there in 1991 to Palmyra. And I pulled out, excuse me, I pulled out of it. I had something to do. It is stupid. Palmyra. In Syria. I think I was going on holiday, and it's already been booked, and this thing was booked for then, so I never went. I should have just gone. Shouldn't have gone on holiday, but I had to at the time because I had this woman who was on my back all the time. So anyway, you're so right. They destroyed very ancient temples and antiquities. What they did is ISIS. And they're in power. The fucking Americans have got them in power. But
I
the
remember.
Al Giovanni, 10 million bounty on his head, and they've got him as a present. This is the Americans. Oh, lovely Ambi says, I remember watching The Time Machine on a black and white telly. It frightened me, still does.
Yeah.
But come and watch it in mine, you can watch it in colour. It might frighten you more.
So frightening.
Oh, still frightening with black and white telly. And Johan says, that was Freedom Warrior, Frank. Yeah, I was calling him for. And I said to him, this is unusual for him. Poor Freedom of Journey getting lambasted by me. Was it you, says it? Johan, no, that's not. Or was it Toscana or Bella Italia? I don't know who it was. So it's not him. You never seen that, has you, Anthony? Honest, was it? Afterwards, it was comical. The people annoy you, don't they, really? So anyway, okay, getting back to the lit. So what have you been reading up on now?
Just mainly, you can't help but cross-reference stuff. Reading about H.G. Wells and the which took me on a journey. I didn't. I was ignorant of his upbringing and his class and the and the problems that, in hindsight, so many people suffer. And again, I see it as an absolutely fantastic um, and worthy and admirable trait for those who have less or start out with less, tend to be the ones that give more. Again, whether it be Shakespeare or Leonardo or John Keats, or and the list, as you know, goes on and on and on. Um, and you think, wow, where did they get it from? It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this and then sell it all and make a few bob. No, it's all about learning and giving back. And the poets, as we've said, and the authors, and it was a wonderful thing. I'm thinking all this over the past couple of days, and I saw a snippet of a video. And this is not exactly to do with literature, but it is to do with the same kind of, because we know a few actors from our beloved hometown who started out with nothing and forever give it back. True being one of them.
Yes.
A bit of a snippet of Stephen Graham. And I hadn't seen too much in it. I know he's been in the news because of the Emmy Awards and stuff. And what he said was brilliant. Basically, that he wants to. There should be a opportunity for those kids who can't afford RADA or whatever theatre school or this, that, an outlet for their talents. And I think that the same should be true of literature. And I know we had a thing in Scotland Road years ago, which Jimmy McGovern was on.
McGovern, yeah.
Yeah,
The writer's thing, wasn't it?
yeah, and it's giving it back, And I just think that true is what Orwell and them did as well.
Well, I said to Jimmy one day, I said, listen, how about this for a play? And he just looked at me and he went, you write it. You write it. Don't be asking me to write it. You write it. You know all about him. And that was what I wrote, a reflection of Dickens.
Yeah.
And he told me,
Jimmy.
you write it. Which it is a few years later, and Johan says, I told Callum and you picked up on it. That's about that freedom journey.
Oh,
And George says, Frank, that cough of yours these days are bushmills with honey. I don't like
oh,
honey, you know.
no, after honey separate,
Oh,
George.
do you? Oh, you
Make,
don't put it in? No, I don't know. He keeps going on about this bushmill. I've got a little quarter bottle there. I haven't even opened it, but that was for me sleep, wasn't it? I've
right?
been sleeping okay, you know, for some reason.
Yeah.
I said to our Francine, I said, I think there's something wrong with me. She said, what? Because our Francine gets worried. She said, what? I said, I've been sleeping good. And she said, oh, shut up, Dad.
What's up with you?
Exactly.
Oh,
Freezing journey shoot. I said, no, I've been involved in a case of mistaken. Oh, yeah, the police are going for you today after 11 o'clock tonight. Freezing. I'm going to pick you up. And George says, as youngsters, we were encouraged to read James Jopp. But I must admit, I never got beyond about 20 pages of Ulysses. It melted my head. That's what he mentioned.
oh,
It was great, Joyce, though. Absolutely. But you've got to, it's like any deep thought writer. And George Bernard Shaw, what a writer he was.
yeah.
What a writer. GBS. And I'll never forget a quote, what he said. And I always mention it, you know, when I'm doing the 1845 famine. And he
Yeah,
came out and said, not at the time, he came out and he said, how could the country be full of, how could the country, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? And it was.
yeah,
It was. It was just a starvation period.
yeah. The devious British.
Oh, yeah. See, you can't say that because we're
I
good
won't,
to the world.
yeah, I won't say that.
Yeah, we has a lovely empire. And we like to rule, you know, and say, listen, you're doing that wrong, and this
Yeah,
is what you're doing right. Okay, so do this right, and that's it. So we have to do even what they're saying today to do.
yeah, yeah. Well, do we have the beauty is in the writers. It was interesting um, to read about some of the writers who class themselves as journalists. H.G. Wells, one of them, in when someone said, what are you? What you do?" He says, "I'm an author and a journalist." And they are, aren't they?
Of course they are. As Toscana says there, my son loves listening. Excuse me. My son loves listening to Dickens' stories. It's part of his bed routine. He's non-verbal, but a smile always comes across his face when I put it on for him. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Yeah,
That's beautiful. That Toscana. See, the thing is, when you're when you can listen to something, when you can listen to something, and it's resonating, and that puts the smile on your face.
it does.
And Dickens, as Anthony said, he was the biggest reporter of the lot of the 19th century. He was a commentator
Yeah,
of what's going on.
yeah,
You know, you get the likes of, as you know, the greed of money in in A Christmas Carol. The
Yeah.
greed of money and the misers, and there was a lot of misers. He was having a go at the misers because when misers died, these were ordinary businessmen. These were merchants, very rich merchants, walking past, you know, beggars in the street, and I mean kids. I mean grown men with, either one leg, one arm, whatever, who'd been in a war for the realm and lost a limb or something, or being blinded, and they had nothing to fall back on. And they begged in the street, and these people just walked past them. But when they knew they were dying, they used to give like money to charity. That was buying the way into heaven, as they thought.
Yeah. Is that not true of today as well?
Of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you get these people. Look, can I just say something about what's right now? There's a fella who's escalating the war, and his name is Keith Kellogg. He was a general in the American army, and he's in Kiev now. And he says, "Oh, the Russians are losing. The Russians are losing. The Russians, all this." And if they would have been winning, they would have been over the Dnieper River. They would have been in Odessa. And they're taking tanks out of mothball. He's telling them blatant lies. Now he's escalating it. Do you know why? His daughter, believe it or not, is an NGO, what you call a non-government agent, right? So she's one of these people, and she's selling arms. She's selling arms and making a hell of a lot of money for the military complex.
And therein lies the truth.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the greed, you see. His daughter is involved. That's why he's selling all these lies. This is why he's down Trump's ear.
Yeah.
There's nothing between them ears, unfortunately, with Trump.
And again, you have the likes of Dante, who was talking about that years ago, and then onwards and onwards, and Shakespeare and everyone. And there's no way for us to get off that treadmill.
No. And there's a big treadmill, as you know. A massive treadmill. A massive escalator. A non-stop escalator that doesn't stop. It just keeps on going.
So we
carousel just keeps on going.
Observe and tell the world about it as blood runs down palace walls. But wow.
As the other fella, Orwell, he said, no matter how no matter how you deny the truth keeps on existing. That's what Orwell said.
Yeah.
You know, so these people are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And Sakura, you guys are the best. Muy bien. Oh, thank you. Sakura. That's a lovely name, that, isn't it? That's Japanese. Is that Japanese? Sakura. Yeah. Sounds Japanese, doesn't it? Whether it is or not, I don't know. And Faster says, where would you start with, Joyce? I've got six spare Audible credits, and I've rolled up. And I've wrote
6 books.
Wouldn't like to tell you, I could tell you, and you'll go like that, have a go at me, going, that was too deep for me. I don't know, go and get as far as you can, but George said I gave up after a short while. See if you can get further than him, the Ulysses.
Or even just tap in the name and see what the first 5-6
Good
come up or works.
He was full of imagery, though, wasn't he, Joyce? Yes. Symbolism and imagery.
Yeah.
George says, Martin Luther had a similar approach to the rich who were buying indulgence, yes, for entry to heaven, yeah.
Still does, George still does now. Our dear mutual friend, Bishop Tom Williams, the first time he took me down to the crypt in St. Anthony's Church, which could fill a book in its own history. But we walked along this corridor, and I know Frank's been down there as well. And then the closer you get to underneath the altar is where the rich paid to be buried, because they felt the closest to the altar means straight up to heaven. I'm
trying to look for a book for to read. I'm trying to give him some advice here. Faster Tortoise.
Yes.
I need to fucking read something. I need to get my money's worth. Okay, there's a book, I can't think of the title. I'll tell you what, I did this when I was doing my English class. I said, do you fancy doing this book to them? They went, oh, what will it be about? And it's a film now, actually, out. Great stars in it. And it's called The Thursday Murder Group. No, The Thursday Murder Club.
Yeah.
Get that on. You'll enjoy it. Got it here somewhere. Somewhere there, anyway. But get that. It's a nice, gentle read. And it's a mystery. I've seen that advertised. Well, I just thought something to read. Then you can watch the film.
Yeah.
The Star. Have you seen the stars in it, Anthony?
Brilliant.
The Thursday Murder Club.
I've seen the film thing, but I've got to say, which I enjoyed, but I wish I'd have read the book first.
It's well, I'll tell you the stars. I was just reading Faster Tortoise Day. Richard Osborne, you're right. It's by that pointless fella. But honestly, it's good. That's what, I thought. I used to go, when I went shopping, I was thinking for the next book to read. And I seen it. And I went, when I was shopping in Sainsbury's, so I had a look and I went, quick browse of it. I said, I'll do this. It's a little mystery thing. But I'll tell you who's in the film. Get onto the stellar cast. Ben Kingsley, Dame Ellen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, what's his fucking name? Jonathan, I met him in the Merseyside. Jonathan Price.
Yeah.
What a lovely man. What a gentle speaking man. He's in it. And Celia Imrie, she's one of the great stalwarts
Yeah.
She's in the category of the dames, you know, like Dame Judy. Fantastic.
Yeah. It is.
It's by that pointless fella. But put that on Faster Tortoise. I think you'd enjoy it, honestly, because you'd be guessing. So don't watch the film, or it's a waste of time then listening to it. And George says, where was the crypt they recently uncovered? All the Lord Derby's family are in, and it was sealed for years. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Lord Derby. Got this
Wasn't
big.
on Scotland Road.
Well,
Wasn't on Scotland Road.
no, it wasn't on Scotty Road, no. No. If it's only been done recently, I haven't a clue, to be honest. I know that the Uncovered, I'm going back years ago, I went down to see it actually. And I think it was the 1880s now, if I can remember correctly. Someone rang me up, not in 1880, you know what I mean, obviously, you know, and they said, hey, get down here. They just uncovered something. So when I got down, it was a story about a Russian, you know, noble. And he came over to England, sort of in England, and he was with his wife. Anyway, she died, unfortunately, here in Liverpool. And he said, okay, he says, you know, and he said, we can put her in a crypt. And he said, I'll be back for her. I'll be back within 6 weeks, a month to 6 weeks. So they said, yeah, all right. Never returned, just left it there. And they uncovered. And I'm going back a few years ago when they did. And I went and seen, you know, the little crypt and the coffin there, you know. Bit weird, like, but so she was left there. Must have copped off, you know, on a train or a boat going back to Russia.
Gosh.
First, nice one. I need to read one book per month. I'll give you a couple of. I'll give you a couple of, but I've got to get the titles right. And I mean good ones. See, what I used to do in class, I used to read, you know, got them to read these, and it's short stories. And the editor was Christopher Dolly. So we used to do that, you know, as a, you know, just for short stories.
Yeah.
Until we decided to do a novel. And some of them are brilliant.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is the one. It's a cracker story, and it's by Charles Dickens. And it's called, it's not an era, unfortunately. It's called The Signalman. It's a cracking story.
Yeah.
It's a short story, but it's a cracking short story. Just called The Signalman.
Yeah.
And about the railway, because Dickens didn't like the railway. He called them monsters, because he had an accident on one. And he said that the fiery monsters. That's what he said. That's what he called them, fiery monsters.
That was made into a film or a television, wasn't it? The Signalman.
Say that again, Anthony. I'm sorry.
That was made for either film or TV, wasn't it? A version of it, The Signalman.
Yeah.
Dickens. I'll have to check up.
No, you're right. They made I think they made a film of it. Not quite so sure. Rather than a series.
Yeah,
It was really good.
yeah,
Great story.
yeah,
And there was another one. That's the wrong one, though. Christopher Jolly has made a couple of short stories. And
yeah.
the other one with the signal man in. There's also one about. Oh, Jesus. This fucking pains back with my left elbow. Um, the other one is Mr. Loveday's little outing. Mr. Loveday's little outing.
Okay.
Powerful, powerful story. And do you know what? I think it was by Thomas Hardy. Was it him? Could have been him. Forget.
Right.
But anyway,
I'll go for that tomorrow.
Mr. Loveday's little outing.
Yeah.
It's powerful, you know.
Thomas Hardy might be up there with HG.
It's good, Hardy.
Yeah. No, he is.
And Toscana today, Faster says, do you fancy a book on the supernatural? Especially the ones based on true stories. They used to scare. You don't know.
I love all them books. I still love them all now.
I don't. I won't read anything like that. Do you know where Jared? Right. At the time, he was reading The Exorcist. Right. It's honest. It's true, this. He was reading The Exorcist. And once Jared, he's an avid reader. Once he's got a book in his hands, he won't put it down. Right.
Yeah.
So he's there now, like anyway. So he went up to the toilet, right? So he's sitting on the toilet. He's reading. All of a sudden, now this is in the night set. All of a sudden, all the lights went out. Do you know the bulb? It come out of his socket and went into his trousers, and he pulled his trousers, and he bailed you all his underneath.
Great balls of
I said, did you finish it off? He said, fuck off.
great balls of
He said, I was frightening. It was frightening. I'm laughing my head off at him, you know. So, well, you shouldn't read anything like that. Former altar boy, you shouldn't be reading anything like that. And Stefan said, I am reading several at once. One is the screw tape letters. Fun read. And Faster says, I find it hard reading books. Not everything is on Audible. No. Freedom says, I tried to read The Dubliners by Joyce, but when I was young, couldn't get it, probably because I was too young, because he couldn't get into it. The thing is, that The Dubliners, if you read it, it's like a map of Dublin. It gives you the streets, and that's full of imagery as well.
Yeah.
It's full of imagery.
Yeah.
Which is great.
No.
Not really into stuff like that, to be honest, Tusk. It's not fiction. I like history or science.
Back to H.G. Wells.
Oh, I've got my what I call anyway, me Bible there, and it's It's about the Roman Empire. It's just called, it's an offshoot. It's called Roman Britain.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fantastic. See if you can get that up. Peter Solway. That's pure history, but it's also documents as well. Documented. You want to know your history. If you like the Roman period, that is. Roman Britain by Peter Solway. And George, I just Googled the whereabouts of that crisp. St. Mary's in Knowsley Lane. Beyond that, I don't know anything about. Says George. Do you mean you know nothing about the Earl of Derby and no? St. Mary's in Knowsley Lane. As a teenage boy, no way. As a teenager, says I love Bean's Borstal boy. Brendan Bean was over here in Liverpool. He got nicked. He had a gun. And he went, where'd you get that? He went, would that be yourself I'm talking to? You're nicked, come on. Brendan Bean was brilliant.
Yeah.
Bean. Look, Toscana's laughing at poor faster tortoise. Oh dear, Johan, to the faster. I'll recommend The Fortunate Pilgrim by Mario Puzo. It's about an Italian immigrant family in America during the Great Depression. That's the author of The Godfather.
Yeah.
Mario Puzo.
He wrote another one called Sicilian.
Sicilian, yeah.
In the early 80s or something.
Yeah, he did. Powerful author. And it was all true as well.
Yeah, and he's passionate about what he writes as well, which is all to our benefit, as the reader.
So, as I said, when you start reading, and even poets, you can't leave the poets out.
No.
Because they were visionaries. But they wrote about what was happening at the time.
Yeah. And the losses endured at various stages, human emotion.
See, when I started, I've always been into literature, even from a kid on history, and going down to our library in William Brown Street, and just picking books off a shelf, and I've seen, a certain amount of books, the likes of Montgomery, for example, and Nelson, Bonaparte. Picking them out. It was fascinating reads, really fascinating. But as you get older, as you know, there's a lot of, shall we say, propaganda that's associated with them.
Yeah.
And I mean a lot. So when I started reading properly, and looking at these wonderful people, you're getting a true story about them.
Yeah.
And the likes of Nelson, he was an incredible man. He was an incredible, and yet he suffered seasickness.
Yeah.
Every time, they start saying, the crew used to say, well, bleh.
Yeah.
strange. And you get the like I mentioned about Marshall Zukov. I've mentioned him many a time. And when I mentioned him, someone said, "Oh, what do you want to be reading about him for?" I said, "Because he won us the war." And I'm going back years and years ago.
Yeah.
One of the lads said, "How does he win the war?" I said, "Well, I didn't want to get into all that, with my mates." I said, "Well, believe me, he did." And but the propaganda against it, and it was all like lies. So I read, again. I'll tell you. I can't tell you the author, but I knew where he was from, and he was a Swiss general, and he wrote. I had it, and it was that thick.
Yeah.
The book was that thick, honestly, and that long. That big
Yeah.
and that thick, and I lent it out. Stupid mate, never got it back.
Yeah.
Now he was so balanced. He never favoured anybody, and he was brilliant. He gave the British side, he gave the German side, he gave the Soviet side, he gave the Italian side. He gave everyone, and he went into detail.
Yeah.
And Marshal Zhukov, and he even said, without Zhukov and the Soviets. So, you dismiss with that, the propaganda.
You do, because you let down a path and someone says, this is the biography you need to read about that.
Yeah.
And strangest thing I ever read about, and I had to read it a few times, was when Edgar Allan Poe died, his so-called fame with writing The Raven and other pieces of work
Yeah.
bring him any money. No money whatsoever. His young wife died of TB in their one bedroom, one down, one up house in New York. And the only kind of furnishings, bedding and stuff they had was his army overcoat. So he went through all of that, but he was absolutely bang on his job. He earned a few quid as a critic and a reviewer for various magazines. He loved Dickens, he loved the work of that, and he had a very, very high standards what he felt American literature should be about. Um, and he gave a review. He didn't hold any punches. He gave a review to a kind of stable mate of his, someone who was in around the same publishers, which was honest, and basically said, the guy tries hard, but he's not got any talent, And then Edgar Allan Poe died, and the guy who he criticised in the remarkable way of the world ends up writing his kind of closing chapter. So he writes a eulogy, and then this guy writes a book, and in the book he's saying everything is totally lies, fabricated, how much of a drunkard Edgar Allan Poe was. He was a drug addict, he was a wife beater, he was this, he was that, the other. So for years, like 25, 30 years, that's the stereotype that stuck on Poe. And his friends couldn't get a word in to say, that's not true.
That's not him, yeah.
Took like 30 years, I think, and the next book came out, kind of readdressed the situation. So
that's great, that, because it happens today. If a little liar says, say like at me or you or someone, and people will go, they don't know me or you. Then all of a sudden, they see me and you, and they go, I believe he's a bit of a liar. I believe he's a bit of a liar. You know what I mean? So, and that's how it sticks.
Totally.
And they spread out, which is absolutely ludicrous. But
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, me. What they say about me. To be honest, as long as oh, I'm sorry there. George Seth says, forgive my spelling, but I love the last Don. Think it was Nicholas Pileggi. I don't know.
I know Nicholas Pledge's name, but I don't know that book, George. But yeah.
Say, look, Faster Tortoise, see, I've stuck that on my audible list, whatever he suggested. I think it was about the mafia. You know what? Mario
Yeah.
Puzo wasn't the Godfather, but he's never put my one on, has he? And Toscana saying, great choice, Johan.
There you go.
See, nothing about my one, is it? I looked at all time at each other. Oh, thank you, Toscana. It's a waste of time, isn't it? Amazing and saying something off. See who knows or something. It's like me, my Saturday morning film show. I'll take a blind bit of notice. I said, have you watched that? No. Have you watched that? No. Stuck that on the audible list, you man. Saying nothing about the Roman Britain. He said, I love history. Nothing about that. Nothing about that. Nothing about the Thursday Murder Club. Nothing about putting that on his little list. And I used to get second-hand books from Oxfam in Bolton. Used to go there myself, funny enough.
Yeah, me
Used
too.
to,
Used to get all my ties from there.
yeah. There's a little Oxfam shop on it.
I got a crack little Beatle album, which was a 3D cover where you have to wear the glasses until everything comes to life. This is like 83. I bought it 50 pence, sold it to a mate of mine for about 20 quid.
20 quid.
For more ties.
Have you still got them?
No.
Well, that's a waste of time, isn't it? I thought you was going to say, I'll show you them the next time, but and we could all have our 3D glasses on like that. I've got a pair of 3D glasses there for you.
Oh, right.
I always keep forgetting to give them to Jason. Because I had a 3D telly, and I said, do you want it? Because my eyes were going funny even then. I said, I'll just fucking take it. And I give him the, like DVDs. I even gave him the DVD player. I said, yeah, just take them. Because my eyes were all funny with them. And Johan says, Frank, we've noted down the Signal Man and the Thursday Murder Club as well. Thank you, Frank. Honestly, get on to Mr. Loveday's little outing. You'd like that. Mr. Loveday's little outing.
That'll be my little outing tomorrow.
It's good, you know. I won't be doing a watch along tomorrow on Saturday. I don't like derbies. Won't watch them. Ain't it shocking? Ever since they were getting called murderers, I said, that's it. Won't even watch them. And they haven't been. Anyway, George said, Frank, please tell us more about the lost Roman legion that went. Yeah. See, one of the finest legions was 2 Augusta. And 2 Augusta at the invasion, the Claudian invasion, was led by a 20-year-old general called Vespasian. And he said, Aulus Plautius, he was the leader, he was the big general. And he said, 4 legions there was. And he said to Vespasian, you go that way and go around the coast. Because he had a fella by the name of Ptolemy, and he was a great seaman. And he circumnavigated, before he invaded, he circumnavigated the British Isles. And he went, they're all rough over there. That was like, towards Cornwall and up the coast, the Welsh coast coming into us. Liverpool. They're fucking lunatics, them. Seeing us on a hill. And then he circumnavigated right around. So Aulus Plautius told Vespasian to go up that way. And he gets to, well, he didn't get to because he was called back to Rome. Anyway, by 117, he was still going around, don't forget. He was still, it was like, they were just quelling tribes, if you know what I mean. And he gets to the wall. The wall wasn't built then, but it was 2 Augusta after 117. Hadrian said, listen, no more expansion of the empire. We've got enough of it. We don't need any more. So we decided to build walls in Germanica, Hispania, Gaul. So he built walls, and he said, build one up there to keep those big jocks out. So 2 Augusta built that wall. It's one of the greatest Roman achievements, the wall, by the way. It's incredible. I said to some fella, I said, you want to go there? He said, I love going to Scotland, I said, well, have you been to Hadrian's Wall? He went, I went once. He said, and it was freezing. He said, it was dead windy. And he said, he said, my ears were, he said, my ears were numb. I said, what do you mean numb? He said, I couldn't hear nothing. All I heard was winds. He said, they were red hot. He said, they were numb for days. Fucking, what is it? My ears were numb. And he said to me, he said, you were ages and ages. He said, you were laughing at me when I said about my ears being numb. I said, oh, behave yourself. Fucking ears numb. Anyway, Richard Osman, that's it. I couldn't remember that. You can't say that. You can't say that fast at all. The pointless fella. I thought you were calling him pointless. He wrote a few, actually. Wrote a few books about the Thursday Murder Club. So we won't be getting that, will he? He won't be putting that on his audio. He was just thinking of it. The pointless I'd be thinking of it. He loved that. Oh, it's great, isn't it?
We can consider that as a fierce review.
Yes, it is a fierce review. I don't think he'd be pleased with that particular comment. Would Richard? See, like when you see our wonderful literature people, going back through the centuries and, from Shakespeare upwards or onwards. And no one ever mentions a fellow by the name of Cyril Tourneur. Cyril Tourneur. And Cyril Tourneur wrote one of the most bloody, this is at the same time as Shakespeare, by the way, wrote one of the most bloodiest of books, more or less plays, you know what I mean, but, the Shakespearean times, as you know. And it was called A Revenger's Tragedy. It was ruthless.
Yeah.
And even, the very first thing that Shakespeare had written, that's one of the most bloodiest as well. And I think when he wrote it, he went, getting away from this, because it was very bloody. And it was Titus Andronicus. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
That was very, very bloody. So he started to calm down, with his writings. That's why he was one of the greatest writers of all time.
Yeah.
I always put him and Dickens like that.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. And it's like they reach a point where they think this will go further if I accommodate or leave out certain things. They become self-editing of their work. I know Dickens had his trouble in the beginning because obviously his work was serialized in the magazines of the time and then under someone else's governorship, you could say. And as you quite rightly said, over some of his work, Oliver Twist and stuff, you've got to tame it so that it reaches more of an audience. Like a piece of music, you don't want to write a piece of music which is only going to appeal to 5 or 6 people.
No. And you don't put the crescendo at the beginning.
No. So you nurture it and then you put it out there.
Well, that's why he wrote periodicals, you see. He used to, said, it's the story, a chapter, a couple of chapters or whatever, and he always left it hanging.
Yeah.
So that, the audience or the buyers would go, oh, I wonder what happened next week. So, that's why they bought them. That's why he was so...
That's a great discipline for the writer, though, isn't it, as well? The stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. Because you wouldn't necessarily write 6 months' work to go together. You would enjoy adapting it and bringing it out. And H.G. Wells did the same thing because he was an extraordinary writer, very, very prolific short stories. And a lot of his stuff in the early days was not even named. They reckon that there's so many thousands of pieces of work that he wrote just dismissed because his name didn't head them. And then obviously when he did start to make a name for himself, they kept everything and catalogued it. But in his early days, they're like Dickens, I guess. If you got something new, yeah, we need 5, 6 pages, whatever. And he could almost write to order.
Have you ever thought about manuscripts being lost?
Yeah.
Just somewhere about. And I'm talking about Shakespeare. I'm talking about, people from, his contemporaries.
Yeah.
Because Christopher Marlowe, who was assassinated really, by the establishment.
Yeah.
I think some of his work is being lost
Yeah.
and forgotten
Yeah.
because he was a great writer.
Yeah.
Harlow.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame, you know.
Yeah.
And even when Cromwell came about and he
Yeah.
banned all writers,
Yeah.
he banned all theatres, he banned everything. And there must have been some writers who went, "Oh, yeah, I'm off," and got off away from England and went over to America, if you know what I mean, because he stopped everything in, that lunatic.
No, totally understand. And you're talking about loss. It's like when William Blake, when he died, his wife kept hold of everything, and little bits of his work she would sell to kind of keep alive, stay alive. And his friend, who he trusted to look after his stuff, um, sold it all, and then found religion, found God, and then went back into William Blake's work and said, "Oh, this is not fit for anyone to see," and burnt it.
Yeah,
So the loss of, wow, you can't imagine how much stuff, you
yeah.
know. Um,
Well, I reckon that's what I asked you. You know, some manuscripts because I reckon that's what happened during the Cromwellian times. You know, they
yeah,
found lots of manuscripts, and because that's what they were doing, they were burning everything
yeah,
back then under
yeah,
Cromwell
yeah,
because he said it was all the devil's work anyway. That's
yeah,
why he closed inns, churches, you name it, desecrating the churches.
yeah,
And it was shocking what they were doing.
absolutely.
And they
Even
were
the,
burning stuff as well.
yeah,
I always remember someone said to me, "Do us a favour, will you take for only for a couple of weeks genealogy?" And I went, "No." They said, "I'll go on." So I said, "Okay then." And after the second week, my last day, um, some fella said to me, he said, "Hey Frank," he said, "I've got back." He said, "I've gone right back to the 1600s." I said, "Yeah." "No, to the 1700s, the beginning of the 1700s." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I can't find none on my Irish ancestors." I said, "You won't." I said, "Because when Ireland was invaded by Cromwell," I said, "he burnt loads. He burnt loads of documents of everything, even names and churches. They were all gone." I went, "Go away." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's why." And I said to the older the class, I said, "Look, if you want to, especially the Irish, I said, if you want to do your genealogy, I said, take up a local history class and find out what was going on in the past. If they just, if they go back to the origins of Liverpool," I said, "you'll find out what was happening." And another one said to me um, about a grandparents, a great grandparents, I'm sorry. And she said, "There's no thing of them. There's no like marriage or anything." This is in Liverpool, by the way. And I said, "Have you tried the Anglican archdiocese or the diocese there?" She said, "No, why?" I said, "Because here in Liverpool," I said, "you're having to give in these, when is there anyone against this marriage? I forget what it's called.
yeah,
And it's for 3 weeks. Oh, what's
mm,
it called? If anyone's against this marriage, say like Anthony and Frank are getting married. Is there anyone against this marriage?" And they go, so the following Sunday, "Anyone against Frank and Anthony getting married?" No. Then the following week, is there anyone against Frank and Anthony getting married? And no one would answer, so we could get married, right?
Yeah.
Point is, that's their shit. Oh, what's it? I forget what it's called. Oh, it came to me then. But anyway, as that's being said for 3 weeks in Catholic churches, there's a big backlog. So what the Catholics did, they used to ask, Protestant services, would you marry, a couple of people? They used to say, yeah. And that's where they were married. And I told this woman, and I finished it then. And I got a letter, there was a letter written, it was sent to me. She said, thank you so much, I found out. And they were married in a place called St. Anne Street.
Wow.
St. Anne Street. Where I lived, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She found out. She finally got the records of her great-great-grandparents. Oh, I forget what it's called. Toscana. The Thursday Murder Club is on Netflix. Yeah. Some cracking actors in it. I told you that. That's going on my list of films to watch. Good, you'll enjoy it. If you haven't read the book, it's good. And Toscana, highly recommend The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith's 1955 novel. A psychological thriller turns into, I didn't like that. I don't like anything like that because that's stealing someone's identity and murdering them in the process. I wouldn't watch anything like that. Toscana, don't like that. It's like poor Freedom of Journey. I was blaming him for everything. Mistaken identity, only for Johan and Callum.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fast and Furious. Most frustrating book I've ever read is that Dan Brown book. That was a film with Tom Hanks.
Da Vinci.
I read it. I actually read the book, actually. I actually told the book to... Great, isn't he? One too many unrealistic plot twists. I sold you on and finished it. Well, there you go, you see, when you finish it off. He must have been going reading like that and going, fuck off, I'm not having that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But mind you, you've got to understand about religion. And once he made that book, then it was turned into a film, and it's had major stars in. Deserve another one because it makes money at the box office.
That's what it's about. Yeah,
that's all it's about. Money spinning. So what do you think about tonight? We nearly never came on.
We got their genius. No?
I didn't know what I was doing. I was going, I'm a genius. All of a sudden, it came up like a Christmas tree. I said, oh, there's me. There's Anthony there. I'm a genius. That's what I said to you. I said, I'm a genius on the phone. And I was Sly Boots. It was Sly Boots Jason. He must have heard that we hadn't, the intro wasn't playing. And he must have seen, he must have seen what was on my screen and gone, took me off and just got us on again.
Them two are on countdown now. They're going to do something wrong, so I'll just tune up. There we go. Yeah. You know this so well.
We know we know the score, don't we? I think a lot of people on here know the score with us as well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
I'll be back. I don't know whether we're back to fucking normal next week. There are that many matches being played,
Okay.
but we will do it. But I don't know what day.
Well, we'll talk before then. We'll just.
Yeah, of course.
I've got you've given me some homework, some stuff that I wanna check out and then come back in, and it's always the same. We start talking and then the show quick because me too. I love this subject, and we get to the end and I think, oh, I wish we'd mentioned that or did that or did that, but next time is the next time. Um, I mean, I think I don't know if it was George who one of ours mentioned last week. Could we talk more about Orwell? And we've done a little bit of talk about him tonight, but not greatly.
No,
And
no. Yeah, it was just in passing, wasn't it? Really.
it's kind of yeah, but for me, I enjoyed finding more about H.G. Wells, and that
Yeah.
film put me on to um, things to come out there on YouTube. Don't have to pay for it. Tap it in to 1936
Did you
movie.
watch the colorized one?
Yes,
It's good, isn't it?
I thought it was great, brilliant, and much as
Raymond Massey.
it would have been dated, it wasn't. It's quite gripping from the word go, really.
Yeah.
And I think the setting of it is like Dickensian, really. It's obviously a guise to get us feeling safe with what's going on. It's a Christmas setting. People are happy. People are singing, and then it goes from there.
True enough. Goes on from there, doesn't it? When we do this particular thing, what we've got to think of as well is the comments.
Yes,
The comments are brilliant
yes,
that they come out with as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Like
Oh,
Fast Tortoise.
Yeah,
Is that the clueless fella?
yeah. Everyone,
Pointless fella.
Toscana, and everyone. It's like it's. I think it's a subject that we all derive so much pleasure, sometimes peace, and sometimes shock.
Do you know Hamlet? I
Yes,
don't know whether you're aware of this. Did you know Hamlet was a story in Denmark
yeah,
and Shakespeare did it? He took it. He seen this story and he took it and wrote it, Hamlet.
wow,
And someone said, that was plagiarism. I said, no, it wasn't plagiarism. It wasn't. And, Hamlet's one of the greatest of all plays written.
yes, yeah,
But no one can beat this fella, Macbeth.
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 Yeah,
This fella here.
the first stage play I ever saw in my life.
Was it?
In the theatre, yeah, when I was a kid. We were doing it for whatever, O levels or something. And absolutely mind blown to sit there in a theatre. It's wonderful the gift of obviously literature, but then to the reenactment of it is that you're in a room full of hundreds and hundreds of people and you don't see anyone or hear anyone. You're focused on the story.
Well, you mentioned, and he just mentioned only very, very briefly in passing. And it was the first time I seen him, and it was at the Everyman and he was playing Mistopheles. And I know that Mistopheles, forget the name of the bloody play now. Forget the rest. It came to me then. And Mistopheles has a speech like that.
Yeah.
Like that it was. And I'm talking little print. And I'm watching this fella. And he reads it. He's just coming out with it. And I seen him years later. Years, I didn't know him, but as a clue. And I was saying, you know, to the, I said, did you see that fella? He's brilliant. The fella, she said, who's that? I said, the fella who played the devil. She went, yeah. I said, didn't you hear the speech? She wasn't fucking interested. So I just said, oh, I said, never mind. And I seen him years and years, because I couldn't get over his speech. He just came up with it. And the expressions on his face, and the actions, everything. And, you know, looking up and looking down and looking there and looking there. And I seen him years and years later. And do you know where I seen him? In your studio.
Yeah.
And I went, hello. He went, oh, yeah. I said, I seen you playing Mistopheles. He went, did you? I said, yeah. I said, how did you remember that speech? He said, I don't know. And what does Stephen Graham say about him? He's the greatest actor to come out of Liverpool.
Yes.
Through Schofield.
Yeah.
I'd love him to come on when he's got a free night. You know, it's 3 of us.
Yeah.
I'd love him to just talk about what he's done and what inspired him. What a great man.
Yeah.
Love him. And everyone loves him, don't they, who's met him?
Did you? And he is what he is. He doesn't pretend to be anything.
No.
No. He's just, but he loves what he does. And that's what comes across. And that's what comes across with you. That's what comes across with some of the brilliant writers with what talking about the male and female. They know where they're going. They are comfortable in what they're producing. But he is absolutely remarkable.
Yes. Totally agree, Mr. Brown. Anyway, we'll have to finish.
Okay.
It's good, though. It's been good tonight, hasn't it? You know,
Yeah. Frank.
Got to thank Jason. Really thank him. Got to thank. Who do we thank? Most importantly, Anthony.
And your great sponsors, Gap Painting, Andy Gamble and the team. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts for promoting and sponsoring every show. And the other great biggie, other with our Jason, is our beautiful family of chat.
That's who we thank. Because without the chatters, there'd be no show.
No show.
Wonderful people, wonderful comments.
Yes.
Very intelligent.
Take us in the direction.
Yes. And on that wonderful note, thank you. Thank you, chatters. I'll be doing a show tomorrow night if you want to join me. It's the pre-match one. Tomorrow night, the derby. Okay, so if you want to join me, 7 o'clock tomorrow, please do, and we'll go over who you should see playing, who you hope to see playing, what your predictions are, and everything else. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Ciao.